Let me say my piece here.
Yeah, go ahead.
You know, you can judge the freedom of the country by the freedom a cartoonist enjoys. Okay.
Cartoonists.
Look around this whole region. Look around this region. Look around India. Where do you find cartoonists outside of India? I mean, we're a throbbing democracy. But you know, people must know what the responsibilities of a citizen.
And freedom of expression is fundamental to democracy.
Can I just stop you there?
We've seen enough.
Can I just stop you there, because I think we are coming to an important. What is it about this subcontinent? What is it about the subcontinent, particularly in India? The diversity that we talk about, our diversity, we talk about our tolerance, and yet the fact is, Dr. Islam, nobody could publish even remotely a cartoon like what Charlie Hebdo does and get away with it in this country. That is the truth. You say you will go to the court, people will get inflamed if I say anything about the Prophet.
Our people are more sensible. They are living in a
are they sensible or oversensitive?
No, they are more sensitive to other people's sentiments. And even our government is sensitive, our courts are sensitive, and that's why we will not have this kind of thing in which you say the Quran is a shit. See, that's the limit.
So therefore, therefore in a multi-religion, you're saying in a multi-religion, that is abuse for you.
Abuse, and that is slander.
That is abuse and slander. You see, those are the fine lines in a multi-religious society. Every religion will have its sentiments. And here you've got Dr. Zafrul Islam saying that this is not satire, it is slander, it is abuse.
I agree.
And
I agree with him.
And yet at the same time you are saying freedom of expression must be absolute in the emergency times in which we live.
No, I'm saying please, three things, please, very quickly.
Yes.
I said I'm against hate speech. And people who indulge in hate speech should be taken to task, but through the courts and due process, not through the gun and not through the danda on the street. Number two, for the record, Rajdeep Sardesai, I'd like you to remember the first time the state actually buckled and came up with the censorship law was at the behest of leftist feminists in 1986-87 when Indecent Representation of Women Act was passed at the behest of liberal leftist feminists, where if you see the kind of draconian provisions, that mine was the lone voice protesting. It's a very draconian law, nonsensical law, idiotic law. And other
censorship
groups
involves us all. That's
no,
what
I'm saying no.
Various groups at various times have been offended, whether from the left or the right.
I'm saying the first time a group got a law passed saying anything we find offensive, you will not allow. Now the moment the BJP women started using that, the left feminists disowned it completely, and they make it out as if they are the ones who are troublemakers. Now as far as the point that was just made, that we are more considerate, it's true. We also, at least among Hindus, we laugh at our own gods. We don't have a notion of perfect God. We have millions of gods. We make fun of them. There are so many spoofs on gods. There are so many Ramayanas where our gods are chastised. Hundreds of Ramayanas where Ram is taken to task. And also, for example, there is in the Abrahamic tradition, Judaic tradition, the notion of false gods. I do feel offended at the fact that Christians or Muslims, certain Muslims will say there's only one and only true God, others are false gods, but I don't take up issue. I don't say therefore Quran is bad, therefore Bible is bad, because I respect their attachment to their holy book, their sacred book.
So you believe they have the right to be offended. My point therefore,
I'm maybe offended at the idea that ours are false gods, but I don't deny them the freedom to call our gods false gods.
Ruchit Joshi, why is it that in India, in a country where Hinduism is revered for its so-called tolerance, why is it that in this tolerant Hindu...
hold on. There's a lot of genuine tolerance.
There is genuine tolerance,
and
there is genuine tolerance.
It would be nice to be able to say
Just a minute, ma'am. You're saying don't. Okay, that's a good point. Madhu Kishwar says don't make an equivalence between Hinduism and any other religion.
Here. Rajdeep,
yes,
this country is one of the most ribald, funny, dirty, humorous countries in the world. Okay, our humor on the street, our humor in the villages, humor inside our houses is absolutely sharp and can match anybody anywhere in the world. Okay, the mismatch is that humor is not represented or not allowed to be represented in our press and in our media. With the younger generations, that is now going, and the internet, that is now going to change whether we like it or not. Okay, people are going to be able to putting out cartoons that will offend people, and it is a cartoonist's job to offend. It's their first job.
Whether it's a prophet or a Hindu god, whether it's a prophet or a Hindu god, whether it's a prophet or a Hindu god, it's open season. It's open season.
Yes, in the sense that, you know, I understand that you may not want to have an abuse of the Quran, which is actually a pointless thing to say that the Quran doesn't stop bullets. No book stops bullets. The Charlie Hebdo magazine also didn't stop bullets, right? But what about the cartoon that Charlie Hebdo had of Muhammad holding his eyes in frustration and saying, it is so painful to be represented by these idiots, rather than much more impolite word than idiots, so about the jihadis. Okay, now that is a cartoon where Muhammad himself is saying, it's horrible to be represented by these people. Is that an allowable cartoon or not? It makes me laugh. It also makes a point about who these people are, claiming to be the defenders of Muhammad, as if ants can defend a mountain.
Can I just take that to cartoon, as far as I'm concerned. Can I just take that to
somebody might be offended you made an image of Muhammad, so what?
Dr. Islam, if there was as there was a cover on Charlie Hebdo of the Prophet,
perfectly decent cartoon,
supposedly of the Prophet, with his eyes tight and him pleading and saying, are these idiots going to represent?
He's holding his head.
Holding his head. Do you believe that such cartoons should be allowed? That we should be not just biting satire. Should we be looking at ourselves? Should Islam be debating within itself? Should maybe, you know, there be a more vigorous debate as to whether we need to look at our religion?
That kind of cartoon is acceptable. Yes, I do. But that kind of cartoon in which you show in the turban of the Prophet a bomb ticking away, going to explode, that is not acceptable.
So you're saying anything that you see in your view which is offensive is not acceptable?
So I will give you two examples.
Yes.
The French government did not do anything, never expressed any remorse, while the Danish government did. It openly apologized to the Muslim world that what happened was wrong, and there was nothing after that. We never heard about it.
So you're saying, you're saying,
two examples.
You're saying, therefore, there must be apology. Do you believe, Soli Sorabji, as a senior advocate, that a cartoonist should be ready to apologize readily?
Well, if he's convinced that there was something offensive, scurrilous in his cartoon, then yes. But if it was merely witty, it was mere sarcasm, then no. All depends on the facts of each case. His specific context, Radeep, there are no absolutes in this. If a cartoon is protected by free speech guarantee, but if it deliberately and maliciously insults the feelings of religion, that's our section 295A. Then of course that can't be done. But you can't see hurt and insult in every criticism.
Well, Sudhir Dar, would you stay away completely from cartoons involving religion in a country like India, because we are a multi-religious society where every community has its own sensitivities and sensibilities? Have you in your career completely stayed away from any cartoon that depicts religion?
Yes. And not just me, Rajdeep, our generation, that means Lakshman, Abu, Mario, Vijayan, we all stayed away from religion.
You stayed away from religion?
It's a taboo subject, you know, it was a taboo subject for all of us.
Should religion?
Yes, we did.
No, hold on.
And I think Ruchir, as Soli just said.
Can I come in here?
Yes, Ruchir, should religion be a taboo subject then in India? Are we saying that religion is taboo, that a Raju Hirani cannot make a film like PK, then tomorrow you will say, is there a worry that religion cannot be made a taboo subject, surely?
Rajdeep.
Yes.
No,
they may have stayed away from religion, but still Shankar's cartoon of Nehru with the whip in his hand offended Dalits all over the country. Okay, now if you look at that cartoon, it's not clear whether Nehru is whipping the tortoise on which Ambedkar is also sitting trying to drive the constitution forward. They saw it as Nehru whipping Ambedkar. Now, somebody looking at that cartoon graphically could also see it as Ambedkar and Nehru trying to move a recalcitrant tortoise through different means, as you often do with bullock carts, etc. in this country.
Yeah, which is what
one guy is pushing on the cart and the other person is whipping the thing. And Dalits got the cartoon taken off. And that was from a generation older than Mr. Dhar's generation. And they managed to get offense instated 50, 60, 70 years after the cartoon was made. So there's no limit to it. You can have retroactive offense, you can have future offense, you can have thought offense. And we need to draw the Lakshman Rekha in the direction of freedom of expression rather than the direction of, oh my God, let's play super safe because we have such a mixed bunch of, a lot of so many religions and everything.
I want to ask that to Kabir Bedi. Do you believe we have become less tolerant, Kabir Bedi, today than we were 20, 30 years ago? Or is it as Ruchir is saying that a cartoon which 50 years ago of Ambedkar was allowed and went in textbooks, 50 years later it was banned because politicians got angry about it. Have we become more intolerant? Are these sensibilities and sensitivities that we talk about getting more and more acute with every passing year?
That particular...
I think it's true to say that people are more intolerant. Intolerance has become more apparent because it is in various media, and the spread of the media has been so huge that various potentially offensive posts reach far more people than they did before, and therefore there's going to be a bigger reaction. The media is going to react. That itself blows up things. But the basic fact of the matter here is that we have to watch out for the fundamentalists and fanatics that are trying to hijack their own religions and claim to be the upholders of their religions. This is true of Islam, it's true of Hinduism, it's true of Christianity. It's the fundamentalists who are distorting the agenda and making free speech, and trying to flog free speech in the process. The people that attacked the cartoonists in Paris and killed them.
Right. I've just got a minute on the program.
Are not doing their religion any favor.
I've just got a minute on the program. Madhu Kishwar, last night I tweeted saying cartoonists don't destroy a religion, they don't destroy Islam. Fanatics and terrorists do. I want to know from you in conclusion, do you believe that society in India has become more intolerant than it was 20, 30 years ago across groups? What we call fringe groups are actually becoming, have the power today to believe they can influence public discourse, which is why we perhaps have less of satire today in India than we even had 30, 40 years ago.
Yes, yes. Rajdeep, I want to draw your attention.
Quick last point.
Very quickly, I want to draw your attention to something more basic and fundamental.
Yes.
Which is not just cartoons.
Yes.
There are certain faiths which claim theirs is the only one and true God. All others are false gods. Okay. Now that's very deeply offensive to me as a Hindu. But in India, Hindus have, through millennia, through thousands of years, lived peacefully with even those who have claimed that, and they've worked out ways of ironing out these differences. Our Sufi and Bhakti tradition was a way of ironing out these theological differences.
Is the tolerance of the silent majority, of the silent majority now being hijacked by those who believe they have the power of the mob?
I'm saying those who are offended by this or that cartoon, are they willing to modify this very offensive statement? This is the only true God. We have monopoly over it. All are false gods. Why not discuss that?
Okay.
This needs to be actually questioned.
I asked you a simple question. Are we more tolerant now? Yes or no?
Our politicians are driving us in the direction because of vote bank politics.
Of being more intolerant.
Okay. We as people, Hindus, Muslim, Christians are not.
Okay. The real thing is we need to be more tolerant.
We will test that. Whether the silent majority in this country has become more tolerant or not is the big question. Clearly what France has shown the world is the importance of sticking by certain fundamental freedoms. Certainly the French state has shown that power in the last 24 hours. Appreciate your joining us on this program.